2003. While there isn't a lot of research.
Forms.com. Omni Strategic Technologies, the only IT company that the watchdog trusts.
Hello, I'm Chuck Reddick, Commissioner of the Internal Revenue Service. We're working hard to get ready for tax filing season. You know who else is working hard? Identity thieves. Keep your computers and your mobile phones secure. Use antivirus software and strong passwords. Look out for email scams. Secure your home Wi-Fi with a password. Stay safe when you shop online. Look for HTTPS in the web address. See irs.gov for details.
Introducing our new redesigned 7 News app. Our new app features a sleek, modern design, an easy-to-navigate home screen with quick access to local news content and a localized weather forecast. Subscribing to notifications is easier, and with one tap, you have access to recent push notifications. There are more ways to watch and find video. To get the new WTRF 7 News app, just update the latest version or download the WTRF 7 News app in your Apple or Google Play Store by searching WTRF.
Now at Menards, save big money on your next project with 11% off everything. Refresh your home with a new coat of Dutch Boy Forever paint and primer in one. It offers exceptional hide and fade resistance for a beautiful color that lasts. Get 11% off Dutch Boy Forever exterior paint. Get 11% off everything now at Menards. Good through September 11th. Savings are mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
A serious injury from an accident can be just the start of.
Okay, Doug, thank you. There's still time.
We'd like to help.
Hello, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm the Storm Tracker, Darnell Foster, with a look at your local weather forecast for your Football Friday. With sun and clouds mixing through the day, temperatures should rise to about 75 for the daytime high. An overnight low of 53 degrees under mainly clear skies, with clouds and sunshine mixing for your Saturday. Temperatures are in the lower 80s once again. Have yourself a great day, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm Darnell Foster.
The views and opinions expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of this station or its sponsors.
This is the Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe and Brad Leonard behind the board in the producer's chair.
55 degrees and partly cloudy at the Wheeling, Ohio County Airport. 52 degrees, partly cloudy. Here at my home studios in the Elm Grove section of Wheeling, 52 and partly cloudy at the Robinson Auto Group studios. Downtown Wheeling in the heart of the Ohio Valley, partly cloudy is the sky condition. There's some light fog floating around. Earlier this morning, the fog was heavier. It's beginning to burn off. It's still out there. So you want to be aware of that. Where have we been and where are we going this morning? Wheeling Park High has canceled its football home opener. Magnolia High School is closed due to COVID. Marshall County schools have instituted mask mandates now as the spread of COVID rages through the state and the upper Ohio Valley. President Biden imposes some sweeping vaccine mandates. Have all of that in the morning COVID update. John McKeeb, newspaper editor extraordinaire, and I will reflect on the 9/11 anniversary today. We'll also look back at the Ohio Valley News Week in Review in our regular Friday roundtable. Our 9/11 documentary series on the 20th anniversary will continue in the next half hour of the show. More from ABC News looking back on that day and the aftermath that we all still feel. So that's some of what I've got for you this morning. If you have something for me, you can text me, 304-214-1600, 304-214-1600, the Watchdog Radio Network text line. Feel free to use it when the mood strikes. WVU Medicine has said that they are going to be offering big bonuses for nurses. WVU Medicine statewide, and of course here in the Wheeling area at Wheeling Hospital, Reynolds Hospital, Barnesville in Ohio, all have instituted vaccine mandates. By the end of October, every employee of the hospital has to either have a vaccine or be assumed to have resigned. There are very defined medical and religious exemptions there. One of the things a lot of folks have been saying is, well, the hospitals are going to be in terrible shape. If people quit, they won't, they'll have a nursing shortage. Two things I'd like to say about that, and then a third thing I want to bring up before I get to my guest. Number one, there already is a nursing shortage, so that's actually an ongoing problem across the country. Number two, I don't think as many people are going to resign as folks think. I think people will decide, all right, it's been kind of fun to make this political argument that I don't want to get vaccinated, but when it comes time to either get a vaccine or keep their job, they will probably get vaccinated, more, I think, than you expect. And WVU Medicine is now offering $15,000 signing bonuses for new nurses who are coming in. They have a pretty good pay scale for nurses anyway. They're adding a signing bonus. Those folks who have been saying that, well, there won't be, the hospitals don't understand, they're going to lose all these nurses. I think they're planning for it. I think they're aware of what's likely to happen, and I think that they have decided that the health of the citizens and of their patients and even of their workers is more important than playing these silly games. So with that in mind, I want to talk about I don't want to call it a movement, but a proposal by some legislators in West Virginia to call for a special session to be held of the legislature to restrict the vaccine mandates. I asked Senate Minority Leader Stephen Baldwin to join us this morning to talk about that. Good morning, Pastor.
Good morning, sir. Good to talk to you today.
So I don't think this is a real movement that's afoot in Charleston, but there are at least a couple of legislators calling for the special session to block the mandates, to block any kind of mandate on vaccine, including in private businesses. Let me ask you the direct question, Senator. Is it likely we'll even have the special session?
No. The votes just aren't there. But I would say that this is a movement. It's very close. The vote count is very close. It doesn't exist right now, but it is exceedingly close. And I'm getting probably 24 emails a day, 5 or 6 calls a day from citizens across the state who are pushing for this. Not from my district. I think I've received 2 so far from my district, but from folks across the state. And it just boggles my mind, Howard. COVID is raging, as you talked about. Our hospitals are at or near capacity. I just got off the phone with our county health officer here in my neck of the woods, and it is a dire situation. And there's a movement to try and restrict the means by which we combat COVID. It's mind-boggling.
There are a couple of items of irony here in this story. Some people want to ban the vaccines. Number one is that you have Republicans who now want to force who want to prevent a business from doing something it wants to do. And it's normally a shibboleth of the Republican movement to not get involved in putting any mandates on, or lack of mandates is kind of a weird way of looking at it, but to not intrude into the private businesses of private companies. And yet here you have Republicans wanting to stop private businesses from doing what they choose to do. I find that to be tremendously ironic.
Yes, sir. I think you're right. I mean, I talked briefly with Hoppy about this yesterday, and he accidentally called me Republican and then corrected himself Democrat, Stephen Baldwin, because I'd just been making that same argument. Yeah, I mean, we're talking about restricting business, and we're talking about restricting medical public health leaders, hospitals, during a public health pandemic. This is not a conservative small government idea. This is quite, in fact, the opposite of that. So it is ironic. I agree with you.
The other irony that I see is this time last year, as we were putting mask mandates into effect and shutting the country down, and as we were, restaurants had to follow real specific, protocol, and I mean, it was a real intense effort to try and, we called it at the time, flattening the curve. And we did all of this a year ago to get us to the vaccine. That was really the goal. The goal was control this spread of COVID until we can get a vaccine. And then we got a vaccine, and we could have brought this to not to an end, but we could have damped down the COVID spread dramatically. And we still are not taking the vaccine. It's what we were waiting for all last year.
Yes, sir. I mean, I think you've got the narrative right. That was the concept, that was the idea, and it was based on the assumption that once we got to the vaccine, that people would want it and people would receive it. And as you said, we have come to that point, and some people have wanted it, some people have received it. But from what I understand from public health leaders, not enough to achieve a significant dampening of this. So, if this continues, then my understanding is we're going to continue to see COVID mutate, and vaccines thus far have been pretty effective at stopping, the various variants. But what happens when that's not the case? If we continue to allow this to fester and to mutate, then we will have brought this on ourselves. And that's not the country I know. That's not the state I know. 20 years ago tomorrow, 9/11, we all came together in the wake of this national tragedy to do what had to be done, to come together as a nation and move together in a better way. And COVID it's done the opposite to us. It has divided us bitterly. And I'm an optimist. I'm still holding out hope that moment's going to come. But we need it now for sure.
It's interesting you bring up that 9/11 thing. I was just watching last night the documentary series on Netflix about 9/11, and I got thinking the same thing. After a national catastrophe, the country came together. We did what needed to be done. We weren't, I know this is a cliche, but we weren't Democrats or Republicans. We were Americans. We had a common enemy or a common cause, and we were going to deal with it. Now we have a common enemy. We have another common cause. It's COVID, and yet we're still splintered. I mean, the difference is like night and day, as you point out. It's just absolutely, again, fascinating to me how far we have come and how far we have divided ourselves in the last 20 years. Senator, you are a Presbyterian pastor, though. There are some who claim religious exemptions from the vaccines. What's your reflection on that?
Well, I think, you talked about before with the WV medicine mandate that there are tailored exemptions, which I think make good sense. I think there are unique circumstances where an exemption is warranted, but I think they are unique. From my religious perspective, we're called to love thy neighbor. And I can't think of a better way to love your neighbor, to protect your neighbor, especially to protect the little ones among us, those under 12 who cannot be vaccinated, than to be vaccinated to stop the spread of COVID so that those folks don't end up sick and in a hospital. So, the congregation I serve, we are just about all vaccinated, and that's not because I've been pushing it. We haven't even talked about that in church. But I think the folks in the church feel like this is something I can do to express my love of neighbor, to help out and to protect people. And so that's what they've done.
Yeah, certainly from a Christian point of view, or really a just humanitarian point of view, I think what gets lost in the shuffle for some of these folks who want to stand on their right to not take a vaccine, my body, my right, all those arguments, is that this is not something that affects only you. It is a transmittable disease that is in the air, it's in the community, and the way everybody acts has the possibility of harming others, particularly children, by the way, in schools and so on, where the under 12-year-olds can't even get vaccinated. So this is a love your neighbor situation. We're not wanting vaccines just to make everybody have a little hole in their arm when they get a jab. It's because it protects the rest of us. It protects your friends, your neighbors, your kids. I watched a person on television last night, a big burly guy, 2 nights ago actually, father, and he broke down in tears. He said, why would any parent not want to do whatever he or she could to protect their kids? It's protecting your own kids in getting a vaccine. It's just hard for me to believe. Let me stop ranting. I apologize for that.
No.
Let me ask you. Let me ask you this, Senator. You don't think there's enough support to call a special session, but if there was a special session called, are there enough votes to support this anti-mandate law that's being talked about? I mean, Republicans have that supermajority.
They do, and that's interesting. Some of the emails I've gotten from folks across the state are, we have a supermajority. Why aren't you getting this done? And so, right now there are not enough votes to call the special session because I think there are enough reasonable people to know that we don't need a political spectacle in the middle of the pandemic. We need to fight the pandemic together. But if it were to be called, I think you would have the votes because it would become a political issue and folks would see you as with me or against me. And I think you'd have the votes at that point because people would be on the record publicly. We came out publicly yesterday against this, a couple of us, and I think that's the first time anybody's done so, and that's because it's not a politically popular idea right now. But my goodness, Howard, it's the right thing to do. We're in the middle of a pandemic. People are dying. People are in the hospital. People are on ventilators. So, that's precisely my concern is if we would get to the point of a special session, you would see some of these things pass because of political pressure.
Senator, do you think Governor Justice has done enough on this? I mean, I rant quite a good bit here on this show for people who listen. Day after day, I think today is another one of his press conference things. And he will tell us once again how horrible it is and how sad he is and how dire it is and how people are dying and more people are going to die and it's terrible. And then he'll tell us to go get a vaccine. And when he's asked, are you going to do anything about it? He'll say, but I don't want to ruffle feathers. Has he done enough or is he on the right track? Let's not ruffle any more feathers.
I think he has been on the right track for most of the pandemic. We're different parties. We disagree about things. But I think overall in COVID, he's given it the serious attention it deserves. But I have been surprised and saddened, throughout this Delta surge that suddenly we're seeing a completely different public health approach. You know, a year ago when things were in a not nearly as bad a situation as we're in now in terms of COVID, we had an indoor mask mandate. The state took the pressure off of county school boards, county health departments, county commissions to say, you know, this is something we need to do for our own good. And now it's the exact opposite approach, you know, saying, you know, well, everybody can take care of that themselves locally. Well, that's a fine political argument, but it just doesn't work on the ground. I mean, I do think we may be to the point finally where we're going to see some counties step out and do this on their own. But it's a very difficult thing to do. It puts them in a tricky spot legally, and you know who wants to risk that right now? So yes, I would like to see the state take lead right now. You know, to throw up our arms and say, well, there's nothing we can do at this point. That doesn't make sense to me. That's not the approach that's been taken so far, and I don't know why we would suddenly take that approach.
I'm very cynical about when I make this next statement, but I'm also very honest. I think I'm correct. Here in the Upper Ohio Valley, for example, Wheeling Park High School had to cancel their first home opener football game tonight because COVID is too abundant in the Ohio County school system at Wheeling Park High School. So the football game has been canceled. A couple of across the river, Eastern Ohio schools have already gone into quarantine. They've had to cancel some football games. Sad to say, when football starts getting canceled is when people start paying more attention. I mean, I hate to say that, but I think that's true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, the sports concerts. I mean, there's a big concert planned for down here. Tyler Childers. I don't know if you know Tyler Childers, up and coming country star, has West Virginia ties. I mean, anyway, he's supposed to have a concert here at the State Fair coming up. They canceled because of COVID. You're right. Football games are being canceled because of COVID. I think that presents an opportunity to incentivize folks in a way that they're actually going to pay attention. You know, if you want to show up to a concert or a football game, you got to be vaccinated or you have to have a negative recent test. But we have not chosen to go that route. And again, I don't know why we throw our hands up and say there's nothing we can do, because those are things we can do. And I think you're right. Those are the things that people pay attention to and care about.
It is sad to me that people will care more about not being able to go to a football game than they do about their kids in school being exposed to COVID. But I guess the realistic part of me is whatever works maybe works. Do you think, just real quick, are we going to turn this thing around? I mean, Clay Marsh this week said that he doesn't think maybe we can get control of the Delta variant now. It's like a wildfire that has to simply burn itself out. Do you think this will turn itself around? Will we get control of this?
As I said before, I'm an optimist, and I hope so, and I want to believe so. But, you know, I mean, realistically, the numbers are not on our side. I mean, Dr. Marsh has talked about this. Our county health officers talked about this. We're not going to see a peak for another couple of weeks, at least. And that's just a peak. So things are going to continue to get worse in terms of active case counts for a couple of weeks until that peaks. And deaths and hospitalizations lag behind those new active case counts. So the deaths and the hospitalizations are going to continue that upward trend for a period of time post-peak. And then if things go well, you start coming back down. But, you know, then it takes another couple of weeks to get back down to where we are now, which is a terrible position. How is that going to happen that we're going to turn things around? I think since our executive branch has chosen not to take any action at this point, it's going to fall to the counties. It's going to fall to county boards of health to step up and say, we need to take measures X, Y, Z in our county. Their county commissions would have to support them because of a ridiculous new law that was just passed this past session, giving county commissions oversight over county boards of health. They're going to have to be willing to do that and do it in very short order, quickly. And I imagine that a couple counties may do it, and who knows, maybe once one does, one steps forward, then everybody else follows suit. But it's going to have to happen pretty quickly.
That's my hope, too, is that a few folks need to break through here. There need to be some more mask mandates put into schools. I mentioned Marshall County reversed their previous decision. They're going to start with mask mandates in the schools on Monday. I think other school systems may begin to say, okay, we didn't do the right thing in the beginning. Let's revisit this now. I also think, as particularly WVU Medicine, but as private businesses begin to say we're going to insist on vaccines for employers, I think a lot of folks will begin to realize the political posturing isn't worth their job. I hope I'm right about that. I think so. Some will quit, but I think people will realize, okay, this has been fun. You know, I put those in air quotes. Well, this has been fun. We've had a good time. We yelled at people and we put nasty things on social media, and we said we're strong. We're going to not get vaccinated. But when push comes to shove, I think once businesses begin to say this is it, I think that may turn things around. I hope so. I don't know. It's just maybe I'm an optimist.
Yeah, I certainly hope so too, and I do think you're right that that's an important factor here. You know, most all the businesses in West Virginia are small businesses, and so you know, when you have federal action like was announced yesterday, that has an impact. I think what has the greatest impact is when somebody you trust has an honest conversation with you. You know, whether that's your doctor, your colleague, your friend, maybe your boss, and says, you know, I've done this. I really think you need to strongly consider doing it. That's what I think has an impact.
I would agree. Senator, you have been minority leader through a couple of tough sessions because it's been, you know, the supermajority has just had to do whatever it wanted to do. It's been kind of hard to hold the small number of Democrats, not hold them together. You can hold them together well, but to have any impact. You're a nice guy. You can stand up and be strong in your positions, but sometimes I feel like it's got to wear on you. Do you want to do this again? Are you going to run for re-election?
I don't know, Howard. I'm in the process of making that decision at this point. I've just this is just my first year as minority leader. What a year! I mean, it's a tremendous honor to serve. I was in the House for 1 year, appointed to the Senate for 1 year, and then had to run for re-election, you know, just about immediately. So now I'm coming up on the end of that, my first full elected Senate term. I mean, what it comes down to is the same argument, but which way does it go? You know, this is a moment, an important moment in the history of our state and our nation. And so, you know, I think I need to do this because we need good people to serve. We need reasonable people who fight the good fight. And it's also why I'm not sure I want to keep doing it because I don't know if reasonable people who want to fight the good fight are going to be able to do anything productive in the current climate. So, yeah, that's a discernment process that I'm going through right now.
Senator, appreciate your time today. Always good talking to you. Thank you very much for offering your thoughts on this, and we'll talk again soon.
I appreciate it. Be well, be safe, and it's good to talk to you, sir. Bye-bye.
All right, thank you, sir. Senate Minority Leader Stephen Baldwin checking in this morning here on the Watchdog Morning Show. So he does not think there will be enough legislators to call a special session. I think it's 3/4 you have to have. There's a high bar you have to reach to call the session. But he's worried that if a session is called, and they're talking about calling a special session to prohibit businesses from putting any kind of mandate into effect, like WVU Medicine has done, to prohibit them from doing that in their private business. Senator Baldwin says if they do get to the point where that law is proposed, he's not sure, but that it would not pass, which is frightening. They're talking about the same thing, of course, in Ohio. We've discussed that numerous times. As far as I know, that's still pending in the Ohio House. All right, 8:34, 26 till the hour. COVID and 9/11 been kind of our two hot button topics of the morning. We're going to shift gears to the other side and go back to 9/11 coming up in the next half hour. We've been doing this ABC News documentary series for you. 9/11, reflecting on that day 20 years ago and taking a look at what's been happening in the past 20 years and maybe where we're going forward. We'll have more of that coming up in the next half hour of the show. McCabe and I have the Friday roundtable. Yes on 9/11, yes on COVID, and then on some of the other Ohio Valley news and review. That's coming up after 9 o'clock. Right now, we have Ohio Valley headlines, and we go for that to the Big 7 here on the Watchdog Morning Show.
The WTRF Channel 7 News Update is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
Now it.
Biffy, you can hold some off and we can do a second break if you want to. It's up to you. I can do another break if you want me to. Okay. I wish I was. Oh no, I'm sorry, you meant the log. All right, when we come back, you and I can do weekend preview. We haven't done that yet. And then we'll do the, number 4 on the ABC, which is, what you tell me, 5 to 6 minutes, something like that. Okay. All right, so we'll do some preview for the weekend, then we'll go back to COVID, or back to 9/11 again. Thank you.
Kicks off at 7 p.m. And that was a look at your headlines. Have a great Friday, everyone.
It's the first ever meeting between West Virginia and Long Island University in football, but the Mountaineers have some Long Island connections. Hi, everybody. I'm Tony Caridi. That story coming up on today's Mountaineer Report, brought to us by Kroger.
What makes one head of lettuce better than another? What makes a grape greater? At Kroger, we take scrutinizing freshness to a whole new level, where only the best of the best of the best will do. We're seriously serious about what goes on our shelves, so only the freshest makes the grade. That means not every leafy green leaves the field. Not every cauliflower makes the cut. So if we've got it at Kroger, you can bet your bananas that it's not just fresh, it's fresher than fresh. Kroger, fresh for everyone. At Kroger, fresh groceries are our thing, so we do freshness checks on the items in your delivery order at every step of their journey from our farms to our stores. And pick and pack every blue, raz, and strawberry in your free pickup order with the utmost care. Because we believe in treating your food the same way we'd want ours to be treated. It's the golden rule, only for fresh fruit and stuff. Order now using the mobile app. We're fresh every day, so shop anyway. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Free pickup on orders of $35 or more. Restrictions may apply.
The much-anticipated home opener set for tomorrow. West Virginia and the Sharks from Long Island University will kick it off at 5 o'clock. Our pregame coverage here on MSN Radio will begin at 1:30 with the Gomart Mountaineer tailgate. Yes, this is the very first ever meeting between these two schools. However, you don't have to look too far back in West Virginia's football history to see that Long Island has produced a bevy of very successful, very talented Mountaineers. Here's just a sample. Scooter Berry from North Babylon, a key starting defensive lineman for the Mountaineers. He was a member of that Mountaineer team that beat Oklahoma in the Fiesta Bowl. How about Ryan Brady, Huntington, New York, which is on Long Island. A linebacker, he was a member of the Mountaineer team that beat Miami in '97. One of the all-time greatest Mountaineers, Canute Curtis, from Amityville, New York, known as the Amityville Whore. He still holds the school record for career sacks. He was inducted into the WVU Sports Hall of Fame in 2011. Todd Sauerbrunn, without question, the best punter in school history. He's a Long Island native. He owns the school record of a length on a punt that went 90 yards against the Nebraska Cornhuskers. His career average was 46 yards. And who could forget famous Amos Zeraway of Hempstead, one of the all-time great WVU running backs. Just a sample size of former Mountaineers from Long Island. That is today's Mountaineer Report. It's been brought to us by Kroger, the official grocer of WVU Athletics. I'm Tony Caridi on the Mountaineer Sports Network from Learfield.
Hello, everyone. It's John Kozik, founder and president of TurboTrack Realty, and I buy houses as is, fast for cash. Call me today for an all-cash offer on any of your properties, and we can close within days at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000. Do you own a property that's outdated and needs thousands of dollars in repairs? Great, I'll buy it. I'm a private real estate investor who can solve your real estate problems fast for cash. Do you want to sell and just be done with it? Okay, great. I buy vacant properties, boarded up houses, pre-foreclosures, and inherited properties. I also buy apartment buildings, rental portfolios, divorce homes. I even buy my tenant won't pay me the rent houses. I look forward to solving your real estate problems today. Call me today for an all-cash offer at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000.
Plumbers and Steam Fitters Local 83 want to thank the owners and contractors of the Ohio Valley for using their locally trained workers to help build for the future. Local 83 helps design, fabricate, and build the gas infrastructure for the oil and gas industry here in the Ohio Valley. Plumbers and Steam Fitters Local 83 is 300 members strong and growing. They also do residential, commercial, and industrial work on both sides of the river. For more information, call Plumbers and Steam Fitters Local 83 at 304-233-4445.
This is a test of the emergency alert system. This is only a test. This concludes this test of the emergency alert system. If this had been an actual emergency, you would have been told where to tune for news and official information. WKKX serves the Wheeling operational area.
You want sports talk? We got the goods all night long. Tune into Sports Map Radio. Evenings and overnights on FM 98.1, AM 1600. We are the Watchdog.
Conversation you care about from people you know. The Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe continues.
I'm so scared in case I fall off my chair, and I'm wondering how I'll get down the stairs. Clowns to the left of me, jokers to the right. Here I am, stuck in the middle with you.
Oh, I often feel that way, Biffy. Clowns to the left of me, jokers to the right. No offense to you, pal.
None taken.
But, actually, I think our guests often feel that way. When the guests are in the studio there, they look at you, they look at me, clowns to the left of me, jokers to the right. I think that's the way guests probably sometimes feel. 8:43, 17 to the hour here on the Watchdog Morning Show. Temperature rising, just a smidgen. 55 degrees at the Wheeling, Ohio County Airport, 55 here at my home studios in the Elm Grove section of Wheeling, 55 at the Robinson Auto Group Studios downtown Wheeling in the heart of the Ohio Valley, and we are looking at fair skies. The heavy fog has faded away, some light fog still sort of floating around out there, but fair skies. Going to be a nice day, sunny and pleasant, 73 the temperature, no rain to worry about, all the way around looking like a good day. Coming up this morning, 10:06, it'll be statewide talk line. Hoppy Kirchwell is in. He'll be talking with, among others, this guy's a good guy. The retired WVU economics professor and former head of the Bureau of Business and Economic Research, Tom Witt. Good guy, sharp guy. He and his wife were in New York on September the 11th, 20 years ago, for an economics professor, and he was staying at the Marriott Hotel at the World Trade Center. What was that like? We'll have first-hand report with Hoppy and Tom Witt coming up this morning, right after the show starts at 10:06. Also today, the bromance will continue, Biffy.
Chris Steyerwald.
From the Dispatch and the American Enterprise Institute, formerly of Fox until he got fired. How bad do you have to be before you get fired? No, actually, he was good. He got fired because he actually refused to kowtow to Donald Trump. Wheeling native Chris Steyerwalt, formerly of the Bray Carey Empire on television when Bray owned the TV stations. Chris was the chief, I forget the title was, not chief political reporter, but chief digital reporter. Anyways, he ran sort of their election analysis and computers and stuff, and he refused to report things the way Trump wanted him to. Instead, Chris reported things the way they were. And as a result, you're out of there. But he still is all Hoppy on a regular basis, so Chris will be in with Hoppy coming up later on today. And of course, Biffy, it's Friday.
Yes, it is. That means Steam release.
Steam release, where you can say whatever you want to say, and Hoppy cannot respond. You can even talk about Hoppy Kercheval. And somebody will no doubt call and talk about me or Biff or somebody, because that's invariably somebody uses it to take pot shots at us as well. And Hoppy won't respond either. He could defend me. No rules of the game says he couldn't defend me, but now he just lets it go. But that's okay. Steam release at 11:30. Then, of course, today at noon, WTRF TV7 headlines at noon. Billy DeFabio will be in his sort of Friday football mode, I guess, today, right, Biffy?
Yes, and I think Bill is going to have, as of yesterday, I think 7 or 8 different guests in today.
He's going to be a busy boy.
Yes, I think we're going to talk about West Virginia football and their game with Long Island. I know he was going to try, and I think it's someone from Ohio State because they play Oregon in Columbus tomorrow. So he's got West Virginia, he's got Ohio State. I think he's got Coach Young coming on from Central. I think Reno from Steubenville. I think he's got Coach Spigarelli from Belair, who Wheeling Central plays tomorrow. And that's all I can remember off the top of my head right now. So, yeah, but I think
he's lineup though today.
Yeah, I think he's got about 7 or 8 guests. Oh, and I think he's got. I think one of those is Ray Fittipaldo to talk about the Steelers game Sunday against the Bills.
Okay.
So
it's going to be a very busy edition of the Bill DeFabio Variety Show today, right after the noon news from WTRF TV, all the way up until 3 o'clock. And then the boys are in the studio. I say boys. Sometimes they get some gals in there as well, so I shouldn't say that. But the team will be in with the Quaker Steak and Lube Friday afternoon walkthrough. That begins at 3, Brother Biff, up until 5 o'clock. Then we get the TV7 News, as always, live from 5 to 5:30. The statewide edition of the show from 5:30 until 6. And then Tony Caridi at 6 o'clock. We do not have any games tonight, right?
No, we do not. And you can call them boys because they like to act like boys sometimes. So, yeah, that's appropriate for that crew.
There are some times listening, I want to go, children? Now, children.
Yeah. Yeah, with
boys will be boys.
Oh yeah.
I love that show. I love the Friday afternoon walkthrough just because of that, because it's a bunch of guys, usually guys, getting together and just talking football, you know?
Yeah, they are in studio today from 3 to 5. So, yeah, that.
Right. And then no games for us tonight. Therefore, no broadcast. But beginning around 9:30, our old friend Fred Persinger will bring you scores from around the state with game night tonight.
Yes, Fred and Dave Jekyll.
Now tomorrow we do have a lot of activity going on tomorrow. If you haven't checked out our new Saturday morning lineup, maybe you should do that. It begins with the, correct me if I got this right, Biffy. It starts with the Metro News high school football scoreboard at 8, right?
Yes, Metro scoreboard at 8. And then...
so look at all the scores around the state from Friday night from 8 to 8:30.
Yes, and then at 8:30 is the ONN Sports Magazine show. And then...
which is kind of fun. Take a look at all different kind of sports, including football.
Yeah, that's a good show. I think the last week was the opening week, and I think they had one of the guests was Tim Streed. He's the guy that runs the OHSA. Tim's a good guy. When the teams from Ohio make the playoffs, and if some of them are our local teams, and we go through Tim and everything, and he does a good job of helping us and everything. And Tim's a good guy, but I think they had him on the opener last week for that. And then normally we would have the sports huddle, but no sports huddle tomorrow because both Jim and Doc Georges are out of town. So,
what's wrong with you?
Huh?
You're here. You're here.
Yeah,
You could do it.
It'd be tough being the only one here. So
you can handle that, Bippy. You got it down, pal.
No. So no sports huddle tomorrow, and then the following week. Now that we're on that, the following week, the 18th, West Virginia plays at noon. So their pregame before Virginia Tech will start at 8:30. So we won't be on next week either because of West Virginia next week. So just a note there. And then at noon from Nelson Field in Bel Air, it'll be Wheeling Central and Bel Air. Now, the game will be on our website on the high school stream. So go to watchdognetwork.com and then find the high school stream, click the high school stream, and that'll get you the Wheeling Central and Bel Air game because, as Tony mentioned in the Mountaineer Report, West Virginia playing Long Island. Kickoff is 5 o'clock from Morgantown, but their pregame show starts at 1:30. So with the pregame show being at 1:30, and we have to, again, cover the pregame show, Wheeling Central and Bel Air will be on our website, watchdognetwork.com. Click the high school stream, and you'll be able to listen to Central and Bel Air from Nelson Field. And Ohio State, they play tomorrow as well at noon.
You're not done yet? We're not done yet?
No, there's still more. Ohio State plays tomorrow at noon in Columbus against Oregon, and that should be a heck of a game for the Buckeyes to open. And if that wasn't enough, on Sunday, we have the Cleveland Browns starting their season in the same place it ended last year in Kansas City, taking on the Chiefs for a 4:25 game in Kansas City.
So we've got a pretty full lineup for you this weekend. So all starting at right after the noon news, it's kind of all sports throughout the weekend. So stick with the Watchdog. We've got you covered: high school football, college ball, and now we add the pros to the mix as well. 7 before the hour here on the Watchdog Morning Show. We have been providing you with a 5-part documentary from ABC News on 9/11, 20 years after the fact. One more installment here right now from Aaron Katursky.
I'm going to need your signature.
Her baby boy, Farkad, had been born just 2 days after the attack, and for 20 years, she has been teaching him about his father.
Daddy's watching you all the time, Farkad. Even though you can't see him, he's seeing you. And he is so proud of you, and you'll make him proud.
At our first gathering, Terilyn was trying to comfort her infant Jack. She needed some help, and she went to Barahin.
I said to her, wow, what do you say to your children when they ask where their dad is? And she looked at me with these gorgeous big brown eyes that were filled with tears. And she was so beautiful. And she said, I tell them to close their eyes and look inside their heart. And I've never forgotten it. I came up with a little kind of thing that we did together. And it was, where does Daddy Jim live? And he would say, in heaven. And who does he live with? The angels. And when you want to talk to Daddy Jim, you close your eyes and look inside, and he would say, my heart.
Mama.
Where does your dad live? Heaven. And who does he live with?
God.
And who else? Angels. And when you want to talk to Daddy, you close your eyes and look inside to where? And where's your heart? Oh, yes, that's nice, love. Daddy loves you.
Baby Jack is now 19 years old and grateful for the mother who tried so hard to help him hold his dad close.
I just appreciate everything she's done because she's like the strongest person I've ever met. Yeah. Really appreciate her.
And as for Barahin, she sent her love to us and to the country, but she and her children asked to remain private on this anniversary. Her older daughter is thriving in law school, and her baby boy, Farkad, is now in college. Coming up, how should we remember 9/11? Those closest to the tragedy tell us when this ABC News special, Remembering 9/11 20 years later, continues.
We'll have that final installment coming up at the top of the hour after the newscast before John and I talk about things. Biffy, I don't know about you, but that tears me up. Tears me up.
Brings a tear to your eye, doesn't it?
ABC covers the world right now. It's 9 o'clock.
The Watchdog is FM 98.1, AM 1600 WKKX Wheeling, FM 97.7, AM 1370 WVLY Moundsville.
The ABC News is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
Families of the...
All right, we should have John. He said he was on today. I'm going to start with that last segment. Then I'll go straight to John, assuming he's there. I'll go straight to him, and we'll do 9/11. Then, depending on timing, I'll take a break, and then we'll do the whole regular roundtable stuff. All right, we'll make it work. Yep, thanks. I'm going to get some more coffee. I'll be back in a minute.